You know, we see people year in and year out, either in person or on social media, making New Year's resolutions. May it be reading more, advancing their career, maybe losing some weight, but they always end it by saying, "This year is my year." A few days later, though, you see that same person at the local bar stuffing a greasy hamburger in their face and chasing it down with alcohol so cheap it isn't fit for human consumption. They fall back on their goals, they fall back on themselves and wait until the next year to do it all over again. However, if Jack Quaid woke up on January 1st, 2025 and said, "This year is my year," by God, he'd be right. With Companion and now Novocaine under his belt, he's panning out to be the biggest star of 2025. But how good is Novocaine? Let's talk about it.
Say what again? Say what again? Say what again? Say what again?
It's not very often that I get to go to advanced screenings, Toller Team, because I'm busy doing reviews and videos of the current week's offerings, but when I saw that Novocaine was playing a week early at our nearby cinema, I couldn't pass it up. The trailer came off as fun, quirky, and high octane, albeit a bit reminiscent of other action films in recent memory, but off to the screening I went. What I found was exactly what was advertised, but with more layers, more depth, and it resulted in a film I truly enjoyed, maybe even enjoyed the most so far this year. So, grab your painkillers and band-aids and allow me to tell you all about it. Spoiler free, of course.
Whoop, whoop. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
Novocaine is actually the nickname of our main character, Nathan Cain. A bit on the nose, am I right? Who's been plagued by a disease called CIPA, C-I-P-A, since he was born. What is CIPA, you ask? Long story short, the condition doesn't allow you to feel pain, and you've got to slowly walk through life so you don't do something stupid, like biting off your own tongue while eating, having a nail go through your foot and finding out hours later, or even being able to enjoy the latest Marvel product. Who am I kidding? We're all pretty numb to that at this point.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Well, Nathan does exactly that. He walks slowly through life as a banking manager by day and an antisocial gamer by night until he finds the love of his life, Sherry, who's played by Amanda Mid-Thunder, by the way. All seems to be going well for old Nathan. A dinner here, some sex there, until the next day when his bank is involved in an attempted robbery and Sherry is taken as a hostage. As a result, Nathan jumps to action, using his inability to feel pain to his advantage, and takes off after her, much to the dismay of the local cops chasing after him. That's it. That's the plot of this movie.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Now you're probably thinking, well, Toller Talks, that sounds like a pretty generic plot. Haven't we gotten 1,000 movies like this before? You're damn right we have, but it's the characters and the performance of Jack Quaid himself that set this apart from all the others. See, most of the time when you're watching these kinds of films, there's a strong, intimidating man that's taking charge, typically using some sort of skills from a past life in order to accomplish his mission. Think Liam Neeson in Taken, Keanu Reeves in John Wick, or Jason Statham in literally anything he's in nowadays. Nathan is not any of those men. He's weak, he's introverted, and entirely too nice of a guy to be involved in this kind of situation, and Quaid captures this perfectly. He understands that he isn't a fighter, but what he is resourceful, intelligent, and above all else, he has an advantage. He can't feel pain. So yeah, this is one of those where you'll never see the main character overpower anyone, and for most of the runtime, he's getting his ass kicked. But he always finds a way to use the environment, and more particularly, that advantage we talked about, not feeling pain, and he somehow comes out on top once it's all said and done. All of this is done through a light-hearted humor lens, where Nathan is well aware of what he's doing, but he doesn't want to. Speaking of the humor, side note, most of it landed for me, and I'm a pretty hard sell when it comes to comedy. It doesn't come across as slapstick, but more as awkward and inconfident because Nathan is traversing on land he never thought he would be, but now he has to.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Now, this is an action film, right? So is it CGI overload, or is it reduced down to a more simplistic, practical approach? I am pleased to report, dear viewer, that if there was CGI in this film, I couldn't tell because 99% of it is done practically. Let this be a fair warning too. For the squeamish ones out there in the crowd, like my girlfriend, there's going to be a lot of blood and gore, but it's done tastefully. See, Nathan has to do some unsavory things in order to get himself out of some particular shitty situations, and all of that is on full display. They don't shy away from any of it. Broken bones, taking an arrow through his leg, getting his fingernails pulled off, and even slamming his own fists into shards of glass to get an edge on his much larger, much more experienced opponent. Yes, you heard that correctly. He slams his fucking fists into glass just to equal the playing field and punch another man. That is a real thing that is in this film, and I'm here for it. Speaking of fight scenes, the camera work done by directors, yes, there's two of them, Robert Olson and Dan Burke, was fantastic. Nathan doesn't feel pain, you see, so it's up to the visual damage on his body and the camera to try and illustrate what his face and reactions can't. And illustrate they did. The camera tilts and pans with each blow, demonstrating the sheer force Nathan is met with, and a few scenes are even exaggerated a bit with slow motion just to show the gravity of what he's going through. Couple that up with a few close-up shots of the damage and how he provides care to the wounds, and you can really tell that this guy he's seen some shit. You know, we ought to sit him down and make him watch Madam Web. See if he experiences that pain just like we did. The only negative I have here, and it may come off as a nitpick since this film is in no way, shape, form, or fashion taking itself seriously, it's the amount of conveniences that happen. People show up exactly when and where they need to, sometimes ahead of time just to help push the plot forward, and from a story standpoint, I feel like the big reveal they present in the film could have happened much later and added a bit more gravity. But it's perfectly suitable just the way it is. Not bad, it could have been done better, but at the end of the day, Novocaine is an unrealistic yet submersive and relatable action comedy, and we should judge it on those merits.
I make that deal. How about you, you bitch? You make that deal?
I make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
The big question is, are we happy?
We happy? Yeah, we happy.
Yes, quite a bit actually. I wasn't expecting more than a surface level action film here, and what I got was way more than that. The cast is likable, and that goes double for Jack Quaid. The action, the practical effects, they're all abundant, and the cinematography was a major step up from other films in the genre. So, do yourself a favor. Grab your guy or gal by the arm this upcoming weekend, give yourself a bit of epinephrine to get in the mood, and go see Novocaine. I'm kidding on the epinephrine part. You'll see when you watch the movie. But if that's your thing, then I'm not going to sink your ship. You do you. Anyway, I appreciate y'all for checking out my review. I'll talk to y'all later.